Hey, I'm Mitch Gallagher from Sweetwater. I'm sitting down with an old friend. Great to have you here, Paul Reed Smith.
It's nice to see you, Mitch. You know,
been
I'm back after COVID.
I know, it's been a while, right?
Yeah, it's been a while.
This is a whole new facility since you were here last time.
You guys have put quite a lot of capital into infrastructure here, but you're growing at an alarming rate, so why not?
Yeah, absolutely. So tell us about the whole COVID break and PRS and how things are moving forward.
Well, the governor shut Maryland down for 2.5 months, and you guys helped us during that period, which I really appreciated. I thanked everybody for that today. It's sweet in a way, you know.
So I have to call out this amazing guitar. This is a private stock.
Yeah.
It's one of the exclusive owls in flight that we do here at Sweetwater. Tell me about the woods that go into a guitar like this. Where do you find these incredible woods and all that goes into
this has
those?
a beautiful East Indian rosewood neck and fingerboard. It's got a burled top, but it's a one-piece. It's a one-piece top. It's a stunning top, and it's been hollowed out. The most difficult part is cutting the inside of the F-hole.
I didn't even notice. It's
just
binding
beautiful.
in it, doesn't it? Wow.
Yeah, and then the back of the guitar, I think it's a beautiful piece of koa. So, and it's also satin. And we don't do a lot of satin guitars, but when we do them, they look really cool. The sheen on the back is dead even everywhere.
Yeah.
That's all cool, but I want it to stay in tune. I want it to play in tune. I want you to plug it in. It sounds magic. I want to be able to use it live in the studio. It doesn't squeal at loud volume. You can get beautiful musical tones out of it. You know, how it feels and how it sounds is a huge deal to me. And you're talking about what it was constructed out of and how it looks, really. I mean,
Right.
that inlay is beautiful.
Right. That's your first impression, but then it has to function.
It's a musical instrument that doubles as a piece of art. One time the firemen came to me and they told me that people are screaming for their PRSs more than the photographs. Once the animals and the people were out of the house,
right.
They were screaming for the guitars, which I thought was great. In other words, it was an heirloom and they wanted the guitars saved.
But the cool thing about it is that, again, they're functional musical instruments.
That's the
You
whole
actually play
idea.
these. You make music with them.
That's the
they
whole
look gorgeous.
idea.
They're works of art. But
I mean, you're a good guitar player. The first thing you did was you looked at it, and the second thing you did was analyze how good a guitar it was.
right.
Yeah, so maybe you should buy that.
Do you think?
You know, something making you a guitar would be an honor. It'd be great.
Thank you for saying so.
Actually, you know, something's interesting. I was at a clinic once, and I was talking about old Strats and old Les Pauls and the history of our business and, you know, where I learned from. And somebody goes, Paul, 300 people in a room. I said, what? He goes, we've never played an old Strat. We've never played an old Les Paul. We don't know what you're talking about. We think a new one, we think an old Strat's a reissue. We think an old Les Paul's a reissue.
Mm-hmm.
I went, they're hanging on the wall behind me. You can play them, right? And I looked at the guy on the store. He says, no, you can't play them. I was like, oh my God. And I realized I'd spent my entire career going to all these vintage shows, learning from the old masters.
Mm-hmm.
I had learned from the guitars. Those guitars, even though the people that build them have passed away, what the guitar maker believed is in that guitar. What the private stock people believe in guitar making is in that neck shape, is in that guitar. And to me, that's fascinating because our industry started, 1952 maybe, really, as electric guitars go?
Well, the bar was set high, though. Do you feel like the instruments you're creating today, have they surpassed the best of the vintage era?
Not in money.
Right.
But Jimmy Herring once said to me, I said, why do you play these guitars? He says, because they'll do things my vintage guitars won't do. And that's Jimmy Herring.
Mm-hmm.
In some cases, yes. In some cases, we're even. Some cases, I wouldn't call it a loss, but I would say that's better than what we made 2 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
And you felt the difference.
Right.
Just in the way the neck's rounded over and how it feels in your hand and how level the frets are. And that thing's got a bone nut on it now. And that's a DGT of all things without the cover on the treble pickup. So I would say I'm very cognizant of what they got right in the 50s and what they didn't get right and what we're getting right. I mean, I can give you an example. I'm positive the nut position and the frets in that guitar are in a better place than what were on the old guitars.
Yeah.
I measured it all. It plays in better tune. The treble pickup on a old Strat most of them are useless. I mean, if you watch Hendrix, he's using the bass pickup and the middle pickup. He's not using the treble pickup. So, that treble pickup is not useless.
Right.
But there are things about, say, a 57 Strat, the neck shape, or a 63 Strat, or there are things about certain years. I mean, if you got a 59 Les Paul, it's an heirloom in your house, That was when they peaked. So you can't take a national industry treasure away because it was made that year. If it wasn't magic in some ways, nobody'd be giving them the money. So I honor the vintage business, but I've learned so much from it. Oh my God, have I learned from it.
Right. So I have a question for you.
All right.
Monkey vomit wood.
All right, I'll tell you the story. We got a big load of rosewood in the early days of the shop. And one of the fingerboards stunk the shop up. It stunk it up. When we planed it, it just smelled like monkey vomit. So they named it monkey vomit wood. But it was in the same stack as the rosewood. We just figured it came from a pungent place in the jungle, no big deal.
Right.
One board. We get a phone call. We get a letter from a guy from Germany. He said, every time I play the guitar, I have to go to the hospital. And he says, because my skin breaks out. We write him back and give him a new guitar.
Yeah.
And get the guitar back. And start spraying the fingerboard with acrylic urethane, which is spray on plexiglass. And we spray it on and we sand it down. We spray it on, we sand it down until it's coated. There's no way the oils could come out of it.
Right.
And we give it to Bugs Henderson, and he gives it to the Hard Rock Cafe, and it's on the wall in the Dallas Hard Rock Cafe.
Nice.
On the back of it, it says, "Poisonous wood, do not play." The monkey vomit wood guitar is on the wall. Now, since it's bolted to the wall, nobody's going to play it,
Sure,
right?
right.
But I'm sorry, Bugs was so cool, to sign the guitar and give it to the Hard Rock, but it says "Poisonous guitar, do not play" on the back of it.
That's
the guy went to
awesome.
the hospital every time he played it.
Oh my gosh.
I have no idea what the wood was. I think maybe it might have been lignum vitae, but it was some sort of poisonous wood.
Right.
And it stunk up the shop when we planed it.
Right.
That's the monkey vomit wood story.
That is something crazy.
It's a true story.
It is something crazy. I mean, you can have allergies. I get reactions to rosewood sometimes. If it's really oily rosewood, I'll get my hands will turn black and I get a migraine.
Well, what we do is we harden all the oils so that doesn't happen. Coca-Cola is the most oily of rosewoods, and they use it for duck calls, and people are putting it in their mouth all the time, but you can do that if you bake it and you harden the oils. It's fine. It turns to a resin, like amber. It turns to amber, right?
So there's a fix.
Look, if you wanted that guitar and you had some reaction to it, which is very rare, we could spray nitro on it. I mean, the nitro sticks to the side of the rosewood fingerboard. It'll stick to the stick fine. I mean, I like guitars without finish on the neck, but I also like guitars that are finished too. So
yeah.
Look, for me, what caliber instrument it is, really important to me.
Right.
So look, Mitch, you guys are good people. You treat your customers well. People get what they need. They get good deals on the stuff. And I think what you're doing, what Sweetwater's doing for the industry is instructive. How to have a personal relationship over the internet and be able to get musical gear is important. So thanks for having me.
Absolutely. Well, thank you for saying so. What a tremendous partnership this has been for how many years now? It's always great to see you.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
All right, bye-bye.
And thank you for joining me here. Paul Reed Smith, Mitch Gallagher, and we're at Sweetwater.